What's up, Suns Army? It's the man without a plan, Darth Pascal.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
Welcome to another episode of Greatest Shooters, where the guy who's least qualified, has the most amount of ADHD, wait, what were we talking about? Tries to stay on task and review games with the goal of finding the greatest shooter of all time. Let's dive right in. Today we are going to answer the question, is Modern Warfare 2 the greatest shooter of all time? Alright, let's start with Spec Ops. Going back and playing Spec Ops was a blast. It was super fun, and it was at its most fun when playing with friends. Here's what I will say about Spec Ops though. It didn't revolutionize anything. It was still a blast, but there are better co-op experiences that were released before this game, and there were certainly better experiences released after this game. So overall, Spec Ops was great, but it's not even close to the best part of this game. Let's move on to multiplayer as a whole. Now, I was only able to go back and play this split screen with my wife or in private matches with friends who still had the game. I didn't check on PC, maybe the servers are still a little more active on there. But overall, it still feels the same as I remember. It's fun, but there's a level of imbalance to it. The rich get richer type. It's hard to get out of death streaks, it's easy to continue kill streaks. But still, I was amazed at how much fun I had. I had more fun playing Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer with just a few friends than I have with a lot of contemporary shooters. I still think that's the most amazing part of Modern Warfare 2, was that it took a firm foundation and built an innovative mountain of multiplayer industry. You can still see the blueprint of this game in multiplayer games even 10 years later. For years, games tried to copy many aspects of this game. Even Call of Duty is still trying to be this game. These games are all trying to copy something. They're trying to copy a multiplayer that defined a game. It defined a series. It defined a generation. That arguably defined the blueprint for all multiplayer shooters to follow. And if you ask me, that is the best part about this game. Whether I like it or even you like this game, it perfected at the time what multiplayer should be, and it shows 10 years later because I still had fun. Despite the flaws that exist today, despite the flaws that exist when this game released, this game's things that it does best are so good you can ignore many of the flaws within. It's been almost 10 years since I've played the campaign at all. I've gone back and I've played multiplayer, I've played Spec Ops, but this is the first time in a long time that I've played the campaign. And my memory of this game was so off. I remembered this game as a Steven Spielberg-esque game. It was good, it was light on content, and maybe it was a PG-13 movie at best. But I couldn't have been more wrong. Going back and playing No Russian was hard. Honestly, it was physically hard. It was nauseating. But the impact of that moment created a story I was more invested in maybe than any other shooter ever. Games like Homefront, the new Wolfenstein games, The Last of Us probably wouldn't exist if it wasn't for this moment. It proved that games could have just as a big of an impact as movies. It proved that they could be just as mature, just as nauseating, just as gory, just as mature, and that games could send an even bigger message than movies. The story is perfectly presented too. I never lost my focus or felt bored, and as I said earlier, it's very easy for me to lose my focus. They pace the game so well. All of the story points are told during the mission, while you're playing, or during interactive loading screens. The missions are paced well too, between easy and hard. I never felt like an impossible mission was followed by another frustratingly hard mission. Now I'm diving into hardcore spoiler mode. The story hits like a ton of bricks. It still does. When Shepard kills Roach and Ghost, this was my reaction.
Sam!
Yes, we did, Shepard.
Good. That's one less loose end.
No! Ghost! You bastard!
shortly after I finished that mission, I realized that there might not be a game that lets you take revenge as sweet as Modern Warfare 2 does. It dawned on me. What game kills off the player character has you switch to a character that's been presented as an NPC the whole time, play as that character, and get the ultimate revenge? I can't think of any other game that does revenge as sweet as Modern Warfare 2 does. This story is not only one of the best stories written for a shooter, this might be one of the best war stories I've ever experienced. After the battle in DC and one soldier says, "When are we going to Moscow?" and the other one says, "Not soon enough," I felt that. I was invested throughout the whole story. I believe that this game inspired so many games to come, whether it was through the creative storytelling, the shocking moments, or the overall gameplay within. Which brings me to my final category. Impact. This game's impact cannot be overstated. Yes, the original Modern Warfare started it, but I compare it to Mount McKinley. Modern Warfare 2 took everything about Modern Warfare and perfected it. Modern Warfare 2 became Mount Everest. When you think about mountains, the first mountain you instantly think of is Mount Everest. You don't think of any other mountain. You instantly think of Mount Everest. You think of it as the pinnacle, the best, the biggest. And that's the way that I look at Modern Warfare 2. You can still see the blueprint throughout all games that Modern Warfare 2 established. It took something amazing and made it even better. It perfected it. Modern Warfare 2 is everything that every game wants to be. Impactful, intense, engaging. Multiplayer shooters still use the blueprint that it established. Campaigns are still trying to copy or invoke the same emotion that No Russian did. Every game wants you to feel the same level of satisfaction that killing Shepard gave to the player. This game's impact can be felt 10 years later, and my guess is we'll still feel like this 10 more years down the line. Wow. All I have to say is wow. Going into this, I believed that this game would just be another COD game. It wasn't, and it isn't. Modern Warfare 2 isn't just one of the greatest games I've ever played. This game is not only the best in its series, it's not only the best shooter ever, but it might be one of the best games ever. It truly is a perfect game, and even 10 years later, my opinion stays the same. Modern Warfare 2 might be the greatest shooter ever, at least for now. It stands at the top of our very short list. What do you guys think? Is Modern Warfare 2 the greatest shooter ever? We don't necessarily think that, but it is at the top of our list right now. What game do you think we should do next? Let us know in the comments down below. If you're new, subscribe. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button. We post videos like this every single Monday. I'm Darth Pascal, and we'll see you next time. Bark.